the Joe Rogan Experience.
I mean, I think all politicians hate reporters. If they don't, there's probably something wrong with them, because the press corps in most cases is really out to get them, or at least is dangerous. But with Trump and Nixon, it went to a whole new level, and it went to a paranoid place, and But on the other hand, and I don't want to bore you with this, but the whining about being kicked out of the White House and not being able to fly with Trump, and the sort of separation between the president and the press corps, and the fact he doesn't show up at the White House Correspondents' Dinner, like, as a reporter, my response to that is, so what? We should be on the outside, Like, yeah. I don't shed a tear about that. I think it's very strange, the response in our business that we don't get to hang around with the president and pal around behind the rope line with them anymore. Like, we should be adversarial, I think.
Yeah, well, as long as you're honest and accurate, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, not even adversarial, but not connected.
Right. Yeah, it's a kind of a separation of church and state thing for me. Like, I had an experience when I covered the Obama campaign, and I liked Barack Obama as a candidate in 2008. I was really impressed by him, but I remember going into the plane the first time, going back into the press section, and I see that there's photos all over the walls of the campaign plane, and apparently there's a tradition where each of the reporters had like a little sort of high school yearbook photo taken with the candidate where, they got their arm around Obama and they're posing, and it was a tradition to kind of put the photo up on the wall. And I'm like, this is not a good look for the press corps. Even if you like the guy, you gotta, at least pretend to have a little bit of that. The mode is supposed to be there. You know what I mean?
What's certainly influential.
Yeah.
It's certainly going to have some sort of an influence on you.
Yeah. It's just a bad look. Like, what happens if you do a story about the guy that's complimentary and it comes out that, you've put a picture of yourself with your arm around the guy. You know what I mean? That's reporters are kind of supposed to be these unpleasant, kind of grumpy people who instantly deface the posters of powerful people, whenever they get a chance, and throw darts at pictures of them and stuff like that. Like, that's who they kind of used to be.
And you see, there's people that are jockeying the position to potentially run in, the next election. Obviously, the 2018 elections, but in 2020 for president.
Mm-hmm.
You see people that are moving into position. You see these congressional candidates that are showing promise. Like, what is when you're covering this? Like, what's the feeling of, like, the future from these races?
So, like, what is it from the standpoint of reporters?
Yeah.
Well, first of all, like, the holy grail of reporting is to latch on to a politician before they become famous and before they become president, and follow them all the way, and that way you get to be the insider who gets invited into the Oval Office. So it's like it's a big thing that a lot of reporters kind of dream of, is to latch on early to somebody like Bill Clinton, and become the sort of favored reporter on that beat. That's why at the outset of presidential elections, you'll often see a lot of jockeying within newsrooms to see who gets to cover which campaign, because people always want to pick the winner because they think they're going to get a book deal out of it at the end, and they're going to end up having their own show on MSNBC or whatever. But yeah, I mean, what's the feeling right now? Like, who are people coalescing around? Is that what you're asking?
That too, yeah.
Well, I think the expectation is that some of the same people are going to be involved. I think there's a lot of belief that Bernie's going to run again, but then there's also Kamala Harris. There's Cory Booker. People believe that those folks are going to run. But oddly enough, the press corps is less focused on that than they would be normally. I think they're the only story that matters to political reporters right now is the Russiagate Trump thing, and they're following that and kind of hoping that will be the thing that happens instead of the 2020 election.
Right.
That the big sort of trial of Donald Trump is what everybody's kind of waiting for.